So the origins, this actually all starts with Paul Walker, who in the late 90s was positioned as sort of an up-and-coming star in Hollywood. He had been in She's All That in Pleasantville, past episode Pleasantville, and Varsity Blues. And he was in a movie called The Skulls.
Yeah, I saw that.
Directed by Rob Cohen in 2000. Rob Cohen was the director of that movie. The producer of that movie, Neil Moritz, they asked Paul Walker what he'd like to do next. Let's see. And I'm quoting here from, this is from a 2015 piece in Los Angeles Times by Amy Kaufman, how Paul Walker nearly quit the Furious franchise. Quote, he said his dream project would be a mashup of Days of Thunder and Donnie Brasco, something in which he could be both an undercover cop and a race car driver. So the filmmakers brought him a Vibe article they'd found about undercover street racing in LA. End quote. So that article is called Racer X. You can read it online. It was written by Kenneth Lee and Amy Kaufman, the LA Times writer. She was wrong. She said it was about LA street races, but it was actually New York street races. And it all centered on a 30-year-old Dominican-American street racer named Rafael Estevez, who is the clear inspiration for Dom Toretto. So going back to the LA Times piece, quote, Paul Walker said, quote, they said you'll be racing as an undercover cop in this world. I wanted to sign on immediately, and they were freaking out. If I had the same opportunity today, I'd overthink it and probably squander it. But I was younger and impressionable, and I wanted to work. They came at me, and I was 24 years old. I had just recently had a child out of wedlock. I wanted to have fun, and I needed to put a roof over my baby's head. Getting out to hang out with my friends and support my baby seemed like a ridiculous scenario, end quote. So he's just talking about how he was very bold about his career decisions, not thinking maybe I wouldn't be able to carry a movie like that by myself. I've only been a supporting actor in movies.
But he's not going to carry
now.
it. There's going to be Vin Diesel.
So, quote, but the actor said Cohen, who would direct The Fast and the Furious, and Moritz, who has produced all the movies in the franchise, knew he was apprehensive about being the guy. So he said the filmmakers assured him they'd find a strong supporting co-star to take away some of the pressure and insecurity of, oh, I'm supposed to be cool in this, end quote. And they had the perfect man in mind, the perfect cool guy to co-star with Paul Walker, Timothy Olyphant.
Oh my God. I love him, but no.
The role of Dominic Toretto was offered to Timothy Olyphant, from Justified and Deadwood, and it's so funny to look at pictures of him from the 90s and 2000s where he does look like all those Skeet Ulrichs and stuff.
Yeah.
And was indeed in Scream 2 and was in all these teen movies and stuff. And you're like, that's Seth Bullock? Oh my God. They just put a cowboy hat on him and have him.
Okay, but they also seem to keep the hanger in his shirt, right? That explains the posture. It's just forgot to take the hanger out.
So he had just been in, so they literally offered the role to him, but he had been in Gone in 60 Seconds the year before. So he turned it down, and instead they got Vin Diesel.
Thank fucking God.
Whose real name, of course, Mark Sinclair. And
Sinclair.
The movie was an unexpected huge hit. $200 million worldwide on a $38 million budget.
Dang.
As I said, I really love this movie. I think that it has and I'm sure it's because I was, alive and aware of the world in 2001. And I watched the movie now and I'm like, that's what the world felt like and looked like in 2001. That's what logos looked like and graphics looked like.
Okay.
But the movie, I don't know, it just captures that moment in time and just has a melodramatic cheesiness.
Because it's a teen movie, but with higher stakes. It's just and I feel like that's also that awkward moment, right? Like that path's not taken. Those are bougie New York people right after a teen movie, and these are not those people.
I love that. This is what happens to the teen movie stars after the teen movie.
Right. You got to go a little bit adult, but not too much.
And they have to. Their crimes in that movie are they hijack DVDs off of trucks and stuff. So it goes from that to them, working for the CIA. So they're going to make a sequel. Vin Diesel and Rob Cohen were interested, but they had started production on Triple X, a new star vehicle for Vin Diesel.
How'd that go?
It was a modest success.
Okay.
And Vin Diesel apparently turned down $25 million to be in Too Fast, Too Furious. He said it was because he didn't like the script. But later he said he should have just done it and fought for it to be better. But that is sort of an early indication of Diva Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
Yeah. Being a little too big for his britches. I'm going to be a big movie star. I'm going to take the world. I'm Triple X now. Are you kidding me?
I don't know. I feel like he's
Too
kind
Fast,
of
Too Furious.
big movie star, right? I feel like he did it. All right, school me. Come on.
Well, I mean,
he's maybe equal parts punchline and equal parts cool guy.
I think that he had hits outside of the Fast and Furious franchise for a little while, and then he didn't, and now all he has is the Fast and Furious franchise. I mean, and he's the voice of Groot, and that's it. What else does he do?
Oh, it's like he's the voice of Gru on fucking Despicable Me.
Hello?
I don't think that's true. Okay.
So they proceeded to make Too Fast, Too Furious, brought in Tyrese Gibson as the new co-star for Paul Walker, brought in John Singleton as the director. And like Vin Diesel, you think you're too good to work for John Singleton, one of the great directors of the era.
Schmuck.
So the movie introduced the character Roman Pierce, introduced Chris Ludacris Bridges as Tej Parker. Too Fast, Too Furious was also an enormous hit, $237 million worldwide.
People
these movies
love cars.
were big, and people loved these movies. And
I think there's a big crossover there with people that also just like cars.
Well,
Just that there's not a lot of it. Like if you're not going to do just traditional racing around a track or, there's not those wide open American frontier going to use my car. There's just something cool about seeing all of those cars and that whole culture and nitrous and systems and speakers and hydraulics and where else are you going to see it? And see it glorified and not made a joke of.
What's so fun about Too Fast, Too Furious is it's basically an 80s cop movie. It's a white cop and a black cop. It doesn't have very much to do with the Fast and the Furious mythos. But I think people just were like happy to see a throwback action movie like that with vroom vroom cool cars. But they didn't get Paul Walker for the next movie, so instead they just made a spin-off called The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
This is where I became, I think I was aware of each one too fast because they're very smart with their naming scheme. So, and the Tokyo Drift just took on a life of its own. So it made me aware of what that is. Yeah, I guess I saw the movie. I just remember Tokyo drifting becoming quite a thing for a little bit.
Really? The act of drifting of your car? Mm-hmm. I had no idea what it meant. One of the best things.
Do you want me to tell you?
No, I've seen the movie. I know.
Okay.
Now I know.
It's what Cruz Ramirez does to figure out how to do the turn. No, it's in the first movie.
Turn left to go right.
It's that.
Turn left to go right.
That.
Wow, I did it. Wow.
Sorry, not Cruz Ramirez.
When you one of the great things about the Fast and Furious series is the naming scheme, how there is no logic and they will totally change it from movie to movie.
What did I just say?
Yeah, so I'm building on that.
Build on it.
Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift. Number 4 is just called Fast and Furious. And then for Fast 5, the movie we're calling it now, we're reviewing today, just Fast 5.
I like it.
Yeah.
They should do F period, A period. Just go crazy with punctuation.
I bet they
colon,
will.
comma, fucking semicolon, just crazy.
Because then there was Furious 7 and then The Fate of the Furious, but the logo said F8. And then the one that followed that was just F9. And then the one after that was...
Like Formula 9, right?
Well, Formula 1.
Oh, there's 9 of them. Though.
But then the one after that was Fast X. So yeah, just everyone has to use a different scheme. But okay, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, one of the most important movies in the franchise because it added the two most important creative voices, writer Chris Morgan and director Justin Lin. Justin Lin is the director of Fast 5. Chris Morgan is the writer of Fast 5. And Universal wanted to keep this series going because it's very profitable, but all the people who make it are no longer involved. So they put out an open call and Chris Morgan came in and pitched, Dom Toretto goes to Tokyo and he learns to drift. And also he solves a murder. Like, we like it. So they hired Justin Lin to direct. More on him in a moment. Neither Paul Walker nor Vin Diesel wanted to come back. So they were like, all right, this will be like a reboot. And maybe, we can just do like what John Carpenter envisioned with Halloween 3. Everyone is disconnected. We'll just go to a different city and learn about the racing culture there. And I've seen people throw out the idea that there was an idea that this movie would be straight to video, but I don't think that's true. And this movie has an $85 million budget. It just feels like there's an alternate universe where a different Fast and Furious movie comes out straight to Redbox every year. Like if it didn't.
If Netflix had existed when all this was happening, I'm sure it would.
If Vin Diesel and Paul Walker didn't come back to the series.
Yeah.
But it was doing very well in test screening, so Vin Diesel was persuaded to film a cameo at the end of the movie. So he does show up at the very end of the movie. And the movie also introduced the character of Han, Sung Kang, and he is the best part of that movie, but his character dies in that movie.
What?
And so when he then goes into the Fast and Furious parts 4, 5, and 6, they have to be like, well, canonically, those movies take place before Tokyo Drift, which is why in Fast 5, when we watched it last night, and Gal Gadot says, where are we going? Tokyo? And Han says, no, we'll get there eventually. And Lacey said, huh? That's really, yeah, I'll get to Tokyo someday when I die.
God.
But he's not really dead. Don't worry. But that's another great thing about this series is the timelines make no sense. The Fast 5 is actually supposed to be taking place in a world where flip phones are still popular. Yeah. Justin Lin is hired to direct Tokyo Drift, born in Taipei, Taiwan, lived there for the first 8 years of his life before moving to California. He co-directed the independent movie Shopping for Fangs, and in 2002, his solo directorial debut, Better Luck Tomorrow, was a very well-received indie film about Asian American high school students who get caught up in petty crime. I watched that movie last week. It is a great movie. I highly recommend everybody check it out. It's kind of like a Danny Boyle feeling, like a Trainspotting kind of feeling movie.
It looks like it's got a sprinkling of Breakfast Club on top. The boyfriend, the beauty, the overachiever, the mastermind, the clown, the muscle.
You gotta have all your types, but with the, it's like, but they're all Asian. What, Asian Americans can be like different kinds of things?
And it's not about that?
And Han from the Fast and Furious movies is technically the same character that he plays in Better Luck Tomorrow, where he's also there and he also plays Han. And watching the movie, you're like, something about that Han. I can't take my eyes off him. Yeah. I don't know.
He's like a Keanu.
Here's an interesting thing I learned about this movie is when this movie screened at Sundance in 2002, a person in the audience got up and chastised director Justin Lin for having Asian American characters provide poor representation for doing bad things like committing crimes. And then Roger Ebert, who was in the audience at the time, stood up and he argued back with the woman, and there's footage of it.
Whoa.
So yeah,
I got goosebumps because I'm a nerd.
Yeah, no, I mean me too. That's why he's the best. And he was so good, and he has a great review of that movie, and he was just so good at the thing he did the best was champion little movies that he would get attached to. And his whole point there is like, you never say to a white filmmaker, your bad white characters are misrepresenting the white race.
Yeah.
And specifically saying like, they don't have to represent anything other than themselves. And I do think there is a bad trend in art recently to where, no, it's a generalization, but that if you depict something, it means that you're endorsing it. Whereas you watch that movie and it's very clear these are characters who are affected by the world they live in and they're responding to it in a certain way. It's not saying it's the right way to respond.
It's not saying it's the Asian way to respond.
Yeah.
It's just these people's experience.
Exactly. All right, so they have Justin Lin. He joins the franchise. He directs Fast and Furious 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 9. And then quit Fast and Furious 10 because he's feuding with Vin Diesel.
Okay, I'm seeing a little trend. I'm on the rock side.
This movie was the biggest hit of the franchise. The chairman of Universal at the time, Adam Fogelson, he was the executive who oversaw this series. And he said at the time, quote, "We've heard so many people say, I've never seen one, and I've never wanted to see one about the Fast franchise. So if these movies were still about street racing, there was probably a ceiling on how many people would buy tickets. We wanted to see if we could raise it out of about racing and make car driving ability just a part of the movie, like those great chases in The French Connection, The Bourne Identity, The Italian Job. Our strategy behind one of the biggest bets we've ever made is that the business has gone so far toward CGI action every weekend that we really believe creating a movie with real action and real cars will be amazing stuff to people excited by seeing something real," end quote. And he was right. Like, this did elevate it from a very profitable and popular series to being something on the level of the Marvel movies, the Transformers movies. For a while, it's been in decline in popularity recently.
How much money do they need? It's always my question.
No, I know.
Look all the money you got. All done?
Exactly. Are you listening, Mr. Bezos, Mr. Musk?
All done?
All right, just one more note. The Rock. So yeah, this movie was released April 29th, 2011 in America. and it earned $86 million opening weekend. 2 days later, a certain thing happened in the news, and that was that Osama bin Laden was killed. A very early thing I remember from me and Lacey's friendship. We were not dating yet at the time. I said like, "Hey, crazy about Osama bin Laden," and you said, "Yeah, if you believe that really happened."
What?
And at the time, I was like, "Lacey's crazy." And now I'm thinking, like, was Lacey on to something?
No, I was being influenced by a right wing husband. I was how
all
dare
I'm saying
you?
is there's a lot of questions about how all that went down.
I know, but I didn't know any of that. I was just echoing back what I was fucking hearing.
Do you remember the weird thing of The Rock seeming to get word that this happened and break the news before?
What? No.
He tweeted before. So the Obama himself broke the news. Like, no news network had this news. They just said President Obama will be making an announcement later tonight. And then Dwayne Johnson tweeted, "Just got word that will shock the world. Land of the free, home of the brave. Damn proud to be an American."
So he didn't say anything.
I guess. But he clearly knew what was coming. And weirdly,
it could just be that he was getting another movie.
Oh, you might be right. And then one other wrestling connection. Later that night, John Cena had to break the news to a crowd. Compromised to a permanent end.
In the world of wrestling, everybody. To be clear, in the world of wrestling, we've been able to do that.
I know. What do they think? What do they think he's saying?
Right. Like, they're going to bring him out, his head. Show us his head. Like, when has news like this or news ever been broken and it's real? But does he do like, he goes, time out, guys, guys, time out. This is the real me.
No, I know. And he's speaking in his wrestling cadence.
Right.
That's the thing. Whenever something real happens in wrestling, it's always awkward because they're like, they have to be.
Kayfabe is when something is in the storyline.
Yes.
What is it when it's out?
Shoot.
He just did a shoot?
He technically did a shoot, but it sounded like it was kayfabe. Yeah. There's like wrestlers like Roman Reigns, The Rock's cousin, had to announce he had cancer. Leukemia.
And he's got it in a headlock.
And he did suddenly like start speaking in a more human voice as he went on.
Okay. He had to announce it that way?
And he didn't have to do it. It's just how he announced it. I don't know. It's just a funny thing about wrestling. So that's the history of Fast Five.
Yeah, cancer's fun.